Steve, tell me about the 65-inch, £3,700-ish Samsung QN95C.
Yeah, this is Samsung's flagship 4K TV for this year. It's an LCD panel with an LED backlight, and that backlight is composed of lots of tiny little LEDs. In fact, there are 1,400, just under 1,400 LEDs behind the panel, which is nearly double what was on last year's flagship model. So big increase in terms of the backlight. And that means more zones, which means more precision, which means better contrast, deeper blacks, and a better overall performance in terms of peak highlights as well. So that's a big difference. I mean, otherwise, the TV is not wildly dissimilar from last year. It has a very similar design, a bezel-less screen, very attractive TV actually, very thin, and a nice solid metal stand. One of the interesting things this year is that it does not have the One Connect box, which it did have last year. So the One Connect box is basically a box that the TV comes with, and you connect everything into that, like HDMI or whatever it is. That goes into the box, and you plug that box into the wall socket, and then there's a single cable that goes from the box to the TV, which makes wall mounting an absolute dream because you only got to deal with one little cable, and that brings everything, picture, sound, power, the lot into the TV. Now that's been dropped on the QN95C this year. If you ask Samsung why, they'll say, they'll give you some flannel. Basically, I suspect it's a cost factor. There was an obvious cost associated with this box. If they weren't getting enough benefit from it in terms of marketing and sales, then I guess that's why they've dropped it. It's a shame because I love it. I think it's a great idea. I'm surprised no other manufacturers copied it. And as I say, it makes installation really easy. So that's a shame. But the connectivity itself is identical. So you still get 4 HDMI inputs, all of which support for HDMI 2.1, which is important to note because only Samsung and LG actually do have 4 HDMI inputs that are HDMI 2.1. All the other manufacturers have 2 that are 2.0 and 2 that are 2.1. So that gives both LG and Samsung a competitive advantage, I think. If you're a big gamer, for example, and you have 2 consoles and you want HDMI 2.1, but also you need to connect a soundbar, which means you use one of the other connections. So it's an important factor. In terms of other features, it's largely the same as last year. So you've got the AI-enhanced neural network processing, which has been tweaked. I believe it's got 20 neural networks now, which improves the processing and upscaling. You've also got what's called Object Tracking Sound Plus, which is a 4.2.2 channel sound system. So there are literally speakers at the top and bottom of the panel, as well as bass drivers built into the rear. Now, given that it's a fairly slim panel, it's incredible they can fit that in there, but they have, and it actually surprisingly sounds quite good, which is something you can't often say about TVs these days. It also supports Dobby Atmos, so you get a degree of immersion, not same as a soundbar, but you will get a degree of immersion from the TV. And it's got the Tizen Smart platform, which again is really good, very comprehensive, every streaming service you can think of. So overall, it's a very strong contender.
Thank you very much for that, Steve, and I will drop the link to that review underneath this video.